Understanding how to value rookies in your redraft leagues can be a little tricky at times. Now, there's some positions that are a little bit easier, specifically the running back. Running back's not too hard to figure out overall. Maybe when you compare a vet running back to a rookie running back, you can get a little tricky, but overall, we know Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Quinshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, all of these guys, they're going to be valuable assets in our redraft leagues. Yes, maybe it might take them a little bit more time than other players, but overall, we know these are absolutely players that we want to target in our redraft leagues because they are going to score points for us right now. But some of the other positions can be a little more difficult to figure out. And especially in this year's class, there's some interesting names that could be a little trickier or a little easier to figure out. So I want to go through and I want to talk about some of these names. But if you're interested in drafting rookies outside of your dynasty league, I do want to make sure that you check out FastDraft because if you use promo code NERDS, you are going to double your deposit up to $50, and it is an incredible place to play. You can draft just only rookies. That's kind of the lens I'm looking through here. It's best ball leagues for rookies only. And so we want to determine like what rookies are better than others to draft. And this is the best place to kind of figure that out. One rookie against another. So check them out, Fast Draft. It's an amazing app. Drafts last less than 10 minutes. It's very quick, very easy, very, very fun. But let's look at these players here because I think some of these might not be as obvious as we would think at first glance. And let's start off with some wide receivers here. The guy that was drafted first, the guy that has all of the hype, Travis Hunter. I really like Travis Hunter. And long term, I am all in on Travis Hunter, but redraft is 1 year. And so for me, I would much prefer to take the guy that was drafted after him in Tet McMillan than I would take Travis Hunter in one of these fast draft, redraft type scenarios. Here's the reason. One, I think Brian Thomas Jr. right now is definitely ahead of him on the pecking order. We'll see what happens long term. Obviously, they used an early pick to get Travis Hunter. They could be an amazing duo. But right now, Brian Thomas Jr. is ahead of him in the pecking order. And even though we are excited about this offense, sometimes these first year offensive coordinators that haven't even been doing it that long, turned head coaches, it doesn't always work as well as we want it to work. So because of that, there's just enough concern there with Travis Hunter and shoot, maybe even plays more DB than we're thinking, and that takes some time away. There's just enough there where Tet McMillan, we're going to an offense that desperately needs a number one wide receiver. Even though it's from Bryce Young, he is going to be getting the ball early and often. And Bryce looked better towards the end of the season than he did early on in the season. And so I just think the targets are going to be coming much quicker, much easier. And so I think a Tet McMillan, I think is just going to be a better asset for a redraft team than it would maybe your dynasty team, where I would still prefer Travis Hunter over a Tet McMillan. Another receiver here. I'm a little worried about Matthew Golden. Yes, he was a first round wide receiver. His ADP is much higher than the guy I'm going to talk about because of that. But Green Bay has been notorious for, hey, that we're going to move the ball around. Everyone has an opportunity to get in on the action. And especially with him being a rookie and some of these other guys being more established, I don't know how quickly Matthew Golden is really going to be able to establish himself as that guy. And he doesn't play drastically different than a lot of the other players on this team. So we'll have to see how it kind of all plays out. But right now, I just am a little worried about Matthew Golden, where I'd much rather a guy like a Jack Bech, where at worst case scenario, he's the wide receiver 2 on the team. But I think he has a chance to even be the wide receiver 1 on the team at some point this season. Brock Bowers is always going to be the main guy. No one is going to dispute that. But Jack Bech, I think, could get a lot of targets in this offense that really needs another pass catching option. And this is a new regime that is here with the Las Vegas Raiders. Jacoby Myers a holdover. Sometimes that works out for those guys, but often long term, they want to get their guys in. So, especially as the season goes on, I think Jack Bech gets more and more and more involved in this offense. And we could see something similar to what happened with Ladd McConkey, that just slowly but surely he overtook a guy like Quentin Johnston, who just never really developed in the way that a lot of people thought he could. And so he ended up not getting the touches that Ladd McConkey did. Jack Bech could do something similar with the Raiders this season. At tight end, I am taking Warren over Loveland. Now, I went on record as saying I think for fantasy purposes, Loveland, this was pre-draft, is the better fantasy tight end. He plays in the more traditional sense. He's not being scheme touches and things like that. He's going to be able to go up, catch a bunch of footballs. He's got great hands, can move well. And also, I think his offense is just better. The Chicago Bears offense is better, and long term, that's going to serve him better. But short term, I have no idea what the pecking order is going to be there with the Chicago Bears. There's a chance that he's the fourth, fifth leading target getter on this team over the course of the season. Whereas when we look at Indianapolis is wide open right now. Yeah, we assume that it's probably going to be Pittman, but there's a path to where he could be the number one guy at some point this season. Worst case scenario, we're looking at third. I mean, that's a great opportunity for a rookie. Now, neither one of these rookies am I prioritizing crazy high. This is if you kind of missed out on tight end and you need to get an upside player. But for me, I think the upside for just 2025 is much higher for Warren than it is for Colston Loveland. Last but not least, I'm going with Jaxson Dart over Tyler Shough. Now, some of you are going to say, well, no, duh. He was the player picked earlier. He's a first-round selection versus a second-round selection. But right now, their ADP is almost identical. And it's mostly because Tyler Shough is going to start right away. Probably. We'll see. But he's likely going to start right away. Now, conventional wisdom would say, well, then he should be the pick. Unless you're doing a super flex league where you desperately need to have Tyler Shough in your lineup right away, I would much rather have the guy with the higher ceiling, because right now in redraft leagues, I'm not playing Jaxson Dart. Now, in FastDraft, you're going to play all of your players, so it makes sense that Shough's that high. But in traditional redraft, you're typically playing one quarterback. So if I'm going to roster one as an upside guy, I just don't see the upside with Tyler Shough. He's not as good of an athlete as Jaxson Dart is. He's injured much more frequently than Jaxson Dart, and he just doesn't have the same type of opportunity to throw to an elite asset like Jaxson Dart does. So for me right now, I think this offense is going to be an absolute mess in New Orleans, and I just don't know how well it's going to work out. So I'd rather have the upside, because no matter what, this is my second, maybe even third quarterback. Give me the guy that at least has a ceiling. All right, guys, what rookies are you targeting this year in your redraft leagues, in your fast draft drafts? Let me know in the comments.